I direct my life about coherence and not necessarily about impact. So I don't know if I've ever thought I want everyone to compost at home. I think it was not really an agenda I had for myself, but more like a message I constructed because of the whole startup entrepreneurship thing, actually. So the line is very hard to define because you feel like you want to try different things, and you're like constantly asking yourself the same question, and then you refine as you go. But then you also get influenced by what other people tell you, and you have role models. You feel like, oh, you have some friends, they've developed their startups, they are so amazing, I want to be like them. So I cannot say actually that even if I've said it, I've also said it in newspaper, but that everyone composts at home is not necessarily my big why. And I guess I do not really go around telling people what they should do. And this is not my agenda at all, but me being so committed to what I do is actually people reflect on their own actions. It's not something that I try to analyze, but that's what people have told me. And then I try to tell them you can do whatever you want. I'm not here to judge you, validate you or anything, but they're like, no, I know. It's just it makes me reflect on my own actions.
Lifeline. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 43 of Lifeline with Monorom Tchaw, who is the founder of Compost City, a social enterprise focused on environmental education and making composting easy and accessible to everyone in Cambodia. Growing up in the city, she shares her process of reconnecting with the soil, with the food we eat, with the farmers, but in general, all the natural resources used in our everyday life. She shares how, in the beginning, she started making her own composting kits at home based on her own needs, and how it eventually became Compost City, iteration after iteration, year after year. And she shares proudly how the mission of Compost City is evolving from compost awareness to making people reconnect with the soil and the food we eat, as it happened to her. And finally, she shares a bit about her life philosophy guided by nonviolent communication, and how actually she's not telling people what to think, but she just wants to make people think. And again, this episode is very special because I invited Linka Lin to be the co-host with me, so you will hear 3 voices in this episode. And yeah, as you can see, it's on the video. So yeah, if you like this episode, you can share it with 2 of your friends, also to share the purpose of Monorom to as many people as possible. So see you soon, enjoy, and bye-bye. Hi everyone, welcome to Lifeline. And today is a super special, amazing episode because if you're on the video, you can see we are all wearing yellow. And yeah, because this episode is very special because there will be 2 interviewers, Linka, that you know because it's episode 1, 25 and 40, myself, Din Long, and we have an amazing guest called Monorom. She will be the first Cambodian French guest, but have some sort of Cambodian roots. And yeah, basically how I met her is we can hear you when you say that. How I met her is because she's my roommate, so we live together. I see her every day. She has a super inspiring story, so we'll get to understand about everything today. And yeah, super excited. How are you, Monorom? How are you feeling?
I'm a bit nervous because I actually listen to your podcasts and they're all amazing people, so I'm very afraid.
Yeah, that's why you were invited. Yeah, but yeah, no, so to kickstart, and Linka also knows Monorom, but maybe she can share more later. But yeah, so for me, I think just to frame a bit the episode from my perspective, and maybe I'll let Linka just after, before you introduce yourself, share her framing from her perspective. But for me, I think there's so many things to learn from your story, and so many things to learn from Compost City, how you brought it into life. I think so many lessons learned from how you really immersed to understand the problem, how you started Compost City, even without knowing you were starting Compost City. And yeah, so many things. But yeah, that's my, for me, the things I want to dive deeper into. And for you, Linka?
Yeah, so for me, how I met Monorom was in 20... I tried so many times to practice pronouncing her name, but apparently still not as good.
It's perfect.
Into the end of 2019, when I visited Phnom Penh and I was staying in Impact Home, I think with Melanie, which is another interviewees of Lifeline, which you will hear about her story very soon. We stay in Impact Home with Monorom. Yeah, I think we've connected very fast, very deeply, just the first day we've met, right? And for me, I just have a lot of questions, curiosity, really want to understand your story, your mental models, what shape who you are. Because for me, there's always this questions. If you have a magic power, what would you do, right? For me, at this point, if I have a magic power, I want to have more people who will be like Monorom. In the world. I told this to Ding Long many times. I wish someone like you in Bangkok, where I'm living. I really feel like, every city should have more people like you.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So let's dive deeper into that.
Yes, so to kickstart, would you like to introduce yourself, who you are, where you are, what are you doing, and just, anything that you want to kickstart with?
Okay. Well, first, thank you guys for the invitation. I'm blushing. Cannot really see because I'm Asian, but yeah, it's so nice for you to say. I hope that maybe the audience can identify or something like that. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm a bit nervous. Okay, so I'm introducing myself. Okay,
yes.
So my name is Monorom, but actually, because it's not really my first name, so sometimes I say Monorom or Monorom, so maybe it's a good introduction to say that actually I don't think that my name defines necessarily who I am. It's just one component out of so many others. So how to introduce myself? I think I'm a human being out of 7 other billions. I'm a living thing among other things as well. Maybe that's it, I don't know.
Where are you now?
I'm in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. I'm Impact Home. Is it 8.0 now?
Yeah.
So I'm in a very cool home, surrounded by loving people. I would say, and I'm in a good place in my life, I think, right now. I'm in a transition, so it doesn't necessarily show in terms of result, but in terms of mental health, I feel like I progress a lot.
When you say you are in good place in your life, how would you define this or describe it?
Okay, so I've struggled for many years trying to, I think, focus on some things that I thought were what I should be or what I should do. And I just accepted recently that there are other ways to actually live life and to find happiness and just keep struggling on the same things. Maybe for some people it works. For me, I just feel like, of course, you can change but there are some things about you that's like you were born with it, and maybe your life is just about discovering this as you move forward in life. And I feel like I'm discovering things about me, and I just hope to find ways to make them shine more, as opposed to like focusing on some dark dark spots.
So more like focusing on your strengths rather than...
Yes, I think that's kind of advice that I heard already before from a podcast talking about change makers, actually. They were talking about like focus on your strength and find people around you who can complement you. But it's not necessarily like there's something to say it with confidence because you experienced it, and it's something else to just hear it, and actually you have not done the work yet, so it doesn't speak to you yet.
Could you share maybe like one strength that you realized you had and you decided, okay, I will really try to leverage on it?
So that's an exercise that I did last year, was something that I call the action verbs. So I was trying to understand my personality better, and maybe some of your audience would know about MBTI and the 16 personalities. So I'm categorized as ENFP.
Yeah, us too.
And I went into that, like the analysis of the cognitive functions and stuff a bit deeper, and I started to do this exercise that I call like the action verbs, and try to understand in just like one action verb what makes me alive. And I realized that so work is very important for me. I feel like it's I see work as, we can say, creation or art is something that you're going to dedicate so many hours of your life doing. You're gonna inspire other people by doing what you do, and it's gonna define a part of you, not all of you, but something that you decide to do. Maybe not everyone today, but if I had a magic power. So I feel like for work there is something that's called like ikigai, but for me I focus on two things now. Is like the why and the how, and I feel like the purpose of why I'm doing what I'm doing is has always been quite clear for me, where I know that other people quite can struggle a long time with this, but for me it was the how. And so to come back to the action verbs, I feel like my the actions that I was doing every day was not in line with my happiness, and did not reflect the way that I want to create work, that I want to create like art or life. So I kind of struggled a lot with this, and then with the actions verb last year I realized that all my actions verbs were people oriented. So I had a lot of things related to talking actually, like ask questions, debate, discuss, share, and I had like host also, like I love hosting. Like I love to invite people, come over for dinner or something like that. And so I just realized last year that I was just doing none of this because I was just struggling with other things that was very, that required me to be alone most of the time. Maybe it's not the way that everyone does it, but it's the way that I thought I was supposed to do it. So I kind of cornered myself and took a lot of opportunities like out of the table on a daily basis, just because I was like, no, I cannot do this because I have to finish this first. I have to do that because I cannot do this because I have to do that instead. This is what I should do as an entrepreneur or as someone who starts an initiative, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I'm changing that.
Ah.
Did I answer the question?
Yeah. So to summarize, like it's interesting. So you say, I guess to summarize from the beginning, that over the last few years you realize more, because you said things that you have to do as an entrepreneur, as blah blah blah, as a CEO, but maybe the but yeah,
The term is
CEO
still funny
and
for me.
founder of Compost City. And you're like, maybe this is not what makes you happy. What makes you happy? Like, I mean, if you center back on yourself, identifying the action verbs that brings you joy and happiness, and linked with your why, and then you did like this sort of self-assessment. Okay, what action verbs am I implementing these days? And they were not the ones that make you happy and bring you joy.
Yeah.
So it's okay, let's focus back on this. Yeah, no, super interesting. Maybe don't ask.
Yeah, I don't know if it's time to asking the question on the as an entrepreneur, but yeah, I mean, well, since Ding Long already mentioned it, yeah, I think so. I know that you actually before starting Compost City, you were like a sustainability coordinator for like a social enterprise called Farm to Table, right? And then, so I guess you started to pay attention to sustainability, to impact, and everything. I'm just curious, when did you start to notice it and pay attention to all these kind of issues?
Like when you say issues, you mean
like sustainability, or you care about all these kind of things?
Okay. Yeah. So for me, like, so when we talk about sustainability, I like in my perspective, I hear natural resources. Like I started to be interested in natural resources relatively late. Actually, I did not grow up being interested in environment at all. I just thought it was like a boring topic, and people who were like identifying themselves as environmentalists, I just thought they were not funny and and a bit moralistic, and so that did not speak to me. Like, let's say, protecting the planet. And I'm sorry for the people out there who want to protect the planet, please do not take this the wrong way. I mean, no wrong way. And but yeah, I was very interested in development economics and inequalities. And for me, what I understand is that economics is just like the study of how people share natural resources among each other. So like it's like we are dependent on natural resources, and there is a finite amounts, and from this there are many ways to look at it. Or like there is a cake and everyone has a share, or you just like eat everything and like leave nothing for others. So like that was the starting point of why I was interested in environment, so natural resources. And then I just saw a documentary that was talking about waste, and I realized that waste was extremely an economical topic. Like it's embedded in our economy, but maybe it's informal. It starts with being informal because no one gives value to waste, but then it becomes formal. And that line for me was very interesting, and I started to become interested in waste. And I was also very I started to have like my whole, political conscience about what can I do as a citizen to do my part. So I started to really think of my own consumption. So I started to buy a bicycle, which like, it was very late, like I was turning 3, because like my parents like never allowed me to have a bicycle, or even I was not allowed to go to summer camp. Like they didn't want me to do many things. Always about security, being a girl in an Asian family. And So I started to have a bicycle. I started to reduce a lot of my. I was just like thinking, okay, what do I consume on a daily basis, and can I reduce that, or can I eliminate that? So I was also thinking about oil and plastic, and I was just like, I want to be independent from oil. So yeah, I started to produce plastic. Today I know that's okay, it's not just about plastic, but at the time I was really focused on this, so I eliminated all the single-use things that I could in my life. And then like in terms of waste, there was like I still have to eat on a daily basis, so I still had food waste, and it's something that I cannot reduce. So I was thinking, okay, what can I do with it? Then I googled, and then I found out about this word compost, which I didn't know before. And then I just saw in India they were doing like an initiative called Daily Dump, and there's a lot of resources online. So I started to be interested in that and try to apply it for myself. Again, I forgot the question.
Wow, no, it's brilliant. I think there are few elements I think we can dig deeper, starting from your interest for the sustainability and environment, actually from an economic perspective. I remember one of your interviews is really interesting perspective. It's really about resource distribution. It's not about it's not about keep generating more resources. It's also about how distribution of those resources. And I think not a lot of people starting looking at environment and sustainability from purely economic perspective. So I think we can dig deeper into that. And from there, you like starting looking into paying attention your personal behavior, your daily consumptions, and then from there you started to think about you dig deeper into one element, just starting from food waste and obviously also green transportations and everything. So yeah, I guess like there's so many areas that I'm sure Dinglong has 1,000 questions too. So maybe I will just pick and choose one area I very want to dig deeper for now. Is the economic perspective of sustainability. So because you mentioned you study international economy, right?
I mean, yeah, it's a bit bullshit, but can we say bullshit? Like it's a degree in like general management and like something called international business economics and strategy, but like I do not feel like what I retain from my degree is actually the classes. That's a bit sad to say, but I feel like all the internships, the experience abroad, the master thesis and the relationship with my thesis director counted much more than the actual classes and even the life with other students and but yeah, it was really through writing my master thesis, but actually even before, because like I did some internships when I was in India in a microfinance institution and in an association of microfinance institutions who do lobbying, and so yeah, this was the entry point to be interested in development economics. So it's actually like Muhammad Yunus and the Grameen Bank initially who it was actually a class called social entrepreneurship. So I'm maybe it's not so true. Classes actually had an impact. There was this teacher from South Africa, and we studied some cases, and one of them was the Grameen Bank, and then I was like super passionate about microcredit, and then it was microfinance, and then it was development economics and capabilities, and then it was natural resources, and then it's compost, and then it's waste, and then it's compost, and now it's like making environmental topic fun. It's actually this the updated interest now is this more than just compost, but again, compost as an entry point to to something else.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can visualize a life map
Mm-hmm.
of you. Like if you're drawing a life map, starting with trying to understand international economy and realize, oh, actually, that's not a lot of real, tangible, substantial impact there. And then from there, connected to from your experience in microfinance and understanding the connections between economy and social impact, and then from there digging deeper into waste and more connected. So in a way, from a very high level macro perspective, zooming into like very daily life, people can actually take actions on and relatable for them.
I think instead of impact, I would say the word coherence, because it's even a word that I mentioned before going to Cambodia to my thesis director, and it's still a word that I identify as one of my core needs. If we have time to talk about nonviolent communication, but I'm not sure we have. So coherence is extremely important for me. So actually it's like one thing that we were questioning impact, like how much impact can we know we have, or how can we measure this? So I'm not really focused on this because I don't have control on this. And it's also not necessarily what I'm looking for. Like a lot of people would be maybe like feeling guilty because, I don't know, they use plastic in front of me or something like that. But I actually have zero frustration about that, because for me, everyone has their own journey, and I'm not thinking that I'm more advanced or anything, because I do not, I just make choices for myself, and I just want people to respect me for the choices that I make, and I do the same thing with others.
And before maybe we dive deeper into your compost city, making environment fun, maybe if we take just to contextualize everything. So you mentioned two things super interesting. The first one is more like you grew up not being environment friendly or interested.
So not.
And then, okay, maybe let's start with that. But yeah, could you share a bit like your childhood? Why do you say that? And if you said that, like what were some of your dreams or aspirations when you were younger?
Well, cool question. I was born and raised in France from Asian immigrant parents who, I saw working all the time as a kid, and I grew up on industrialized food. So my parents had not so much time, and had a lot of frozen, the frozen section was my favorite one when I was going to the supermarket, and my parents didn't really look at what we were putting in the trolley, and I was eating a lot of very fast food, let's say, and so, I didn't really care at all about packaging or all these kind of things. And I was also living in the suburbs of Paris. I don't feel like this is where I grew up. At least it was not at all a concern. And for me, an example would be I was helping my parents with their different small businesses. Like my mom always had different kinds of shops, and one of them was a laundromat with selling also small grocery things. And I would always put a plastic bag for my customers, because for me that was the right way of serving your customers. So I was always offering one, and I never heard someone who said, no, I don't want a plastic bag. It's just it was just not part of our culture back then. And even now in France, it changed a lot, but at the time it was not. And environment, the way I heard about it before is either because you want to protect nature, so you have this kind of postal cards kind of view of nature beautiful, and then why are we wrecking nature? And for me, my perspective was more like humans are also part of nature, and we, like, I don't know, this is just the way that we evolve. And so, and also, like, I was also very conscious that we have homes, and we have industrialized processes, and we benefit from them every single day to live. So to actually have this now and say, oh, we don't need that, it's not true, because we, like, your house is not just, I mean, for some people maybe it's just made out of mud or bamboo or something, but for most people, like, there's a huge cemetery, so, like, yeah, I don't know, like, industry and all, and also, like, the other thing that I was hearing was the care for animals, and I can kill animals to to eat. Like, it's not a problem for me. Not for cruelty, but to eat, I don't have a problem. So I also could not relate. I could not relate to the reasons why people were environmentalists, I should say, and I do not define myself as an activist at all, because again, like, I don't. For me, I like, my wish for everyone would be that they do, like, they take out all their limiting beliefs, and that they really feel like they live the way that they feel like, okay, this is me. That would be my number one dream, and yeah. So I don't like, the way that I think is not like I think something and you should do the same as me. I see my beliefs today as just an ideology that belongs to me and no one else.
And just quickly, do you remember what you wanted to do when you were younger?
When I was younger, but I think when I was in junior high, like, one of my best friends was super into makeup, and I thought, okay, maybe I will work at L'Oréal or one of these kind of entities, like businesses. So that was, like, super early on, and I was really, because my parents are like, yeah, like, the business schools and HEC. And okay, so I thought, okay, maybe, like, I don't know. At some point, I think I was thinking that, but then, like, when I, like, my first work experiences were with my parents, like, especially, like, my mom. She always, like, developed these small shops, like I told you, and so she had like a bakery, but not the traditional one, like the immigrant one. The one where, like, it's like the dough is already formed, and then you just have to put in the kind of machine to make it grow, and then it's not like the artisan crafts the dough every single day at 4 a.m. No, for us it's like 6:30. It's fine. And where was I going with that? Yeah, so I really enjoyed, like, when I was 16, I asked my mom to take care of the shop fully. I didn't want her to intervene at all. So I wanted to do the accounting, the supply, the cleaning, the serving customers, of course. And yeah, I don't necessarily remember why, like, exactly. I just thought it would be cool to do that for my summer. And I just enjoyed having, like, feeling quite. I felt a bit proud to be, like, responsible of different things. And I thought, my mom is cool. Like, she's started this by herself. And I saw my brothers kind of like looking down on that. Like, they were more into those fancy names. And I just thought. I just talked to different people who I kind of heard, like, they didn't like their colleagues, or they didn't like their work environment, or they felt like they were not doing much in their role. And I just felt like, this was awesome. Like, from 6 to 8 p.m. Like, I'm really active, and I loved it. So I just thought it's gonna be something. Like, I knew quite early on that I would not want to be in a huge company. not meaning that big companies are not good. I just yeah.
Not for you.
Maybe
Yeah.
not.
And quickly, like you.
I did not answer the question.
No, you answered. I
Did
think
I?
yeah. You mentioned the waste documentary. Which one is it?
So it's a Gomorrah. It's actually a movie. It's not a documentary. But actually, no. It started with a documentary called Camorra, and it was on the Italian mafia in southern Italy. And then I watched this movie. So actually, no. It's a documentary. It's the Arte documentary.
The Italian mafia movies about waste.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So
I was thinking about something completely.
So yeah, I love mafia movies, and I saw this documentary, and I was super shocked to realize that actually mafia activities do not cover only human trafficking and prostitution and drugs, but also waste. And I didn't know that before.
But you watched the movie because it was Italian mafia, not because of the waste part, right?
Yes.
But then you discovered, but then it was a waste aha moment.
Yes.
Oh,
because like in the documentary, I think we can see a can of soda. I'm not into sodas, but it was kind of representative that this can come from my house, actually. So that was the first time that I realized that actually the small actions that we do on a daily basis can have huge consequences.
So, you mentioned that this movie is one of your first aha moment, and then it's also the class on social entrepreneurship, and then like what Mohammed Yunus was doing. Could you like you mentioned like your first aha moment is a movie when everything changed, but I guess it's also a journey, right, of different things. Could you share like me what are some of the other things that contributed to putting you more into the environment path?
I think so, because I kind of had a meltdown when I was writing my master thesis. So it was on microfinance, I was comparing social performance and financial performance of microfinance institutions, and diving deeper, I just felt like results from researchers about the actual social value of microfinance, of the microfinance sector, is maybe not as it is advertised. And I read some reports from the 90s. And so Mohammed Yunus won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006. And I was writing my master thesis in 2012. Realizing that what practitioners are doing and what researchers are finding decades before, I was just I kind of lost, I kind of had an aha moment about microfinance, and it's a lot of problems really related to the microfinance sector, but also the kind of pressure that we are putting on beneficiaries of microfinance institutions. I was at a very low point in my life and kind of stuck doing writing my thesis, and I was like, if today you ask me to be this amazing entrepreneur who with this small amount of money can change her life and the life of my kids, my entire family and my neighbors, also my community, it's a lot. I could not do this, and I feel I was born privileged already to have fighter parents who a mix of hard work and luck and many things that brought them to we can say move out of poverty, because when they moved to France they were poor, but maybe not as much as a lot of people in the world, by the way. But yeah, I was born super privileged and with higher education and not having to suffer to find food and to study. And with all those characteristics, I do not feel confident making good use of a loan, of a microloan. So it was also a reflection on myself. So there are so many things that led to that meltdown, but also that just purely thinking a private initiative which is actually for me like an excuse also for the public sector not to do anything, I just felt like something was not really convincing for me. And then anyway, when you have loan is to buy stuff. So it was really the link from money to actually money is just a tool to get natural resources. And when there is a conflict in the world, when you dive deeper, is always about resources, always about, I don't know, a lake, like some water that's, I don't know, hydro dam that's preventing some people to get like water on the other side, or like oil access or anything. So did I again answer the question? Yes,
I think it's about when you are discovering a lot of things, new concept and initiative in the world. You're also doing self-discovery. You're asking yourself, if you are being put in a position, what would you do? And all these reflective questions. I guess you're also questioning the world, why we are living the world like this, and why people behave in the certain ways. So maybe just to, I think you mentioned about if you want people to remove more like limiting belief, right? So what was some of the limiting belief you had before, and how did you overcome it?
Wow. So a huge limiting belief, but I don't know, kind of is that I should know how to write. The audience is like, good. Yes, like I've struggled for many years on this technical issue that is writing, and I was always the last one to leave the room when we had to write a dissertation, for example, or just like some exercises, and I was just like focusing for hours on one exercise and not do the rest. I always thought that it's actually something that I have to overcome and to be good at. I just think that is the limiting belief, because while I'm focusing on this, I'm not focusing on the action verbs that I told you before. I just realized this is not me. So this is a huge limiting belief. I'm sure there are many others, but right now it's because I think it's the latest one that I really struggled with and started to accept very recently. Because when you join these competitions and different application things, you always have to write application forms, and even when you are like an entrepreneur, you have to write down things, and I just felt stuck, and you have to do like PowerPoint presentations, and I just feel like creating something out of nothing. It's just it's not me.
And how did you let go of this?
So when I was looking at ENFP, the ENFP profile, but that's, you guys are ENFPs, but maybe you don't have this problem, but it's just like, of course, like you dive deeper into something and then some things will speak more to you, some others not. But like, so I was looking at these quotes from famous ENFPs, and there is this talk show host, I don't even know her name is like Rachel Ray, and then she was saying, nothing in me wants to write. And I just felt like, I didn't know her, but I knew she was a talk show host who is successful. And I just thought like, actually, like, there is a life for me without necessarily having to have this as a burden, like, all my life. And then I also realized that, I don't know, sometimes when I feel bad, I like to watch some feel-good videos, and watching the Obamas make me feel good. And they were talking about how they were creating speeches, and they have like people who help them to write a speech, and even the book like Becoming from Michelle Obama, like it was actually like created out of discussions that she had with someone, and this person, while discussing, was actually writing the transcript. And so she already had a base and then moved from that to actually finalize the book. So I realized that I love talking. I love exchanging ideas. I love meeting new people. And I just thought, okay, maybe it's okay not to focus on this one. Like, I don't see myself as a writer. And even if for some people it can be not difficult, I just have to admit, like, for me it is. And it's, yeah, like, since I was younger, I've always been the latest one in this exercise. So I just know at some point I'm not going to change.
Yeah, I mean, as ENFP, I can validate your point. I don't like writing. How about you?
I love writing.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. It's for some people, not for everyone.
Yeah, so that's why, like,
yeah.
I know, like, there are some super successful ENFP writers. There is a ENFP YouTuber who I follow. She's a writer. But so it's not, but just like this sentence from someone who is successful and saying this like so confidently, it was just like, oh, I have other ways. Like,
yeah, that's great. That's great. So maybe let's continue your journey as a personal, like someone who's aware of trying to learn about compost, aware of daily consumption, waste. So how does it come from someone who is just paying attention about composting to someone now, running an initiative?
The compost queen.
The compost queen in Cambodia, like in bringing the compost culture everywhere. So how does it from individual, your personal behavior to running an initiative that, bring the influence to other people?
I think it's like this conjunction of factors. So like when I started to have an apartment with a balcony in Phnom Penh, I just decided to like start this composting because I just didn't want my waste to go to the landfill every day. So I started to do my own system, and then like I was friends with some some people working in environment. I was mostly from the same youth group for which I volunteered. They started to take interest in that as well. Like, oh, Monorom, she's the compost girl. And then I also met someone who became my roommate later. And I think the fact that I was composting was also like a factor that led to maybe her wanting to live with me. At our the second home with my roommate. So amazing roommate who's gonna be interviewed by Lifeline very soon. Her name is Melanie. Check it out. She saw that I was experimenting, and she was always super supportive. And I think she's defining like elements in my life. She needs to take a lot of credit for a lot of accomplishments that I've done, I think. And like at some point I wanted to test things, but I was just saying the idea out loud, and then she was like, okay, what do you need? I don't have the budget. How much do you need? Okay, I need $350. And then she's like, okay, I give it to you, like I lend it to you. And so she lends me
microcredit.
So it was more like, okay, what do you need? Okay, she's actually asking me, like she's asking me to be more precise in my ideas. And then, okay, now she wants a budget. Like I need to do a budget to actually give her an amount. So then it was 350, and then like I just bought different boxes of different sizes, and then experimented in our home. And actually, I had two amazingly supportive roommates. And they just went along with it and just like let me do things and be messy. So I was also very fortunate to have an enabling environment and supportive friends. I think that's very important. So that's, I guess, how it started, like from like a shitty system to a less shitty system that was working in my home. I'm talking about the composting. Like a home composting system. So
before the shitty system, were you composting already?
Like I grew up not composting. And then I think like the last year before moving to Cambodia, I came back to living with my parents to finish the master thesis. And that last year, my dad was actually like, he started composting, but we had a backyard and like a garden, and so we were just like throwing in like at the back of the garden. So it's a different setting when you're on the balcony and you don't have access to soil.
So you were in the house, you had a balcony.
Yeah.
And you wanted to start composting.
Yes.
But you were not composting yet in that house.
No.
Okay, so that's where you set up the shitty system.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just looked at the daily dump resources, like this Indian initiative that I was telling you about, and I just tried to reproduce the same, but not at all with the same materials. So actually, it makes a huge difference. And I was really, every component was new for me. I was like, okay, so now I need to find dried leaves. So I was like, okay, where do we have trees? And it's like, okay, now like on this street, I see that there are leaves falling, so maybe I can check this one out. So it was some very weird trips sometimes. I actually went to Farm to Table, like before working for Farm to Table, and just like, because I saw the concept of the restaurant and I thought, okay, I think they have trees there. Or is this really looking at where you find leaves? Then had these baskets, and I just tried. But like daily dump is like actually some terracotta pots. So it's just not the same at all as like rattan baskets. But at the time I was just like, okay, let's just go just start somewhere, because I'm just so fed up with my waste going to the landfill. So
how do you feel when you throw organic waste?
Like the first times I was just very unsure. Like, I don't know if I can say this on Lifeline.
Yeah, you can say everything.
There is a secret that's actually only my friends at Young Ambassador know. Not even everyone.
Oh, you have to say it now.
So, Daily Dump, they say that, I don't know if it was Daily Dump or another, but like, they say that you need a starter, like to make compost.
Oh. A starter.
Okay. So it's like, okay, this kind of you need this culture to start composting. That's when so like they were like, okay, you need cow dung, but I do not have cow dung. So I tried the second best thing where I could find poop.
So you pooped in your shitty system. That's why you call it a shitty system.
Literally.
So that was the first compost material you put in the box.
Yes. Yes.
I'm so glad we're recording.
So I really. I like today for people who want to start composting at home. Starters are bullshit. You can really start with no starter. But just at the time I didn't know, so I'm just like, poop. I mean, not like this, but like, yeah. So I put this one, and then I was like, in the next days, I was constantly thinking about it. Like, did I just do this? And like, what is the impact of this action? Like, I don't know. Yeah, like the subsequent days, I was really, I was just like, what am I doing? Like, yes.
How many? When was this? Which year?
It was 2017.
Okay, so 5 years ago. Do you know how many versions did you have of your compost kit?
I think it was like 7 or 8, something like that. I mean, the latest versions are like probably with the same boxes, but there are some modifications. So 7, 8. Like now, I want to change again, but for some minor things. But like if you ask for versions, I don't know.
What
like
did you
8, 9
change?
10.
Could you share a bit?
So the first time was those rattan baskets, and I just realized that it was very easy to get cockroaches. And then like, I don't know, it was just too dry, and like it was like leaking everywhere, so it was just not the best. And also the bottom at some point just like very early on is just decomposes, of course. It does its job. So I just like, okay, this is not sustainable enough. And then I had those huge 120 liter boxes, and then I had this idea of some kind of compost benches where it was like one kind of square flower pot per day, and we would be like aligned on the balcony, and we just put like some wood on top, wood boards, and we could just chill on the compost. And then like my former boyfriend was like, you do realize that no one is going to sit on the compost. And because with compost also come like red ants, for example. Like you cannot necessarily control all the life who is going to show up in your compost. So no one wants to have like itchy butts. So there was this, and then even the structure of those benches, it kind of changes. Like at first I thought, okay, just like put them all in a line, and then I thought I'm going to do a compost wall. So actually I just stack them on top of each other, and then I did a combination of those with the big boxes, and then a lot of rats at that time. And then finally there was this friend from Germany who was also super into compost, so it was our main topic, like together. I should ask for his news. And sorry.
If you're listening, a German friend.
And then so I he gave me his one of his composting system trials. So I had his for some time. Then it was not really working for me, but I took the same idea of being elevated because it was on some kind of stool. Then it started to be this elevated system with a stool, and I thought before we need 6 boxes So like one system was like 6 boxes, and then I realized, okay, that's a lot, 6 boxes. So then it was 3. But actually, it's not just like, oh, you realize one day later it's 3 boxes instead of 6. It's just like you go through time, and then you realize like those 3 boxes have been here for a while without being attended. So then it was 3 stacked on each other, and then when we started to commercialize, it was 2, because we thought, okay, we can start with 2, and then if people want to buy another one, they can still like buy another one.
Which year did you commercialize?
So it was 2019 October.
Did you originally know or had the goal to commercialize them?
No, not at all. Like, and the idea of commercializing, so this because, so as you mentioned, Inka, before, like I was working as a sustainability coordinator in that restaurant before, and one of my missions was to bring awareness to our team. So I had like these monthly sustainability meetings with all the waiters and chefs of our restaurant and accounting departments, and then sounds a lot, but actually it's a small restaurant. We're like 15 max. And then I just thought, okay, maybe they are a bit tired of having this monthly thing where we have activities. I just thought it would be kind of cool to experiment something else. And there was this social entrepreneurship competition organized by Impact Hub Phnom Penh at the time that I thought would be a great way to engage our team. So I already had the products at home, and why not take this as an opportunity to think this solution further, but also to include the team. So I joined along with 2 colleagues of mine at the restaurant, and we joined so it was called Smart Spark Cohort 3 at the time, which is a program developed by Impact Hub Phnom Penh, focused on the Sustainable Development Goals, and they have a cohort like focusing on different SDGs at each cohort, and this one was environmental protection. So we joined this, and then we won the prize, which was $3,000, and so now we had the money. So it was just like, okay, so we need to buy now. We need to buy like material. Okay, so now we bought material, we actually need to make them. Okay, now we actually need to sell them. So I took a week to actually send the order form. I just did not dare. At first I was like, this is a shitty product. Like, I don't know, it's very weird to make, to craft something and then to put it out there for people to buy. Unless like it's something artistic and you feel like super proud of your art. But for me, it was just like a crafty solution that does not look so professional. And so to put it out there and put a price tag on it, it's just like, I just wanted everyone to have it for free. And then, so then we won in September and we started to commercialize in October
2019.
Yes.
Okay. Could you explain maybe like how does your compost kit work? Who is it for? And very startup judge question, but what is the problem behind?
Yes.
Behind everything that you are trying to solve.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I wanted to correct also that my friends also supported joining the competition, because I feel like the idea it did not come from me. Actually, it was my friends suggesting, oh, you should apply. So I again have to give credit to my wonderful roommate Melanie, because again I would not have done it if it wasn't for her. So
Sorry. She forced you?
No, she did not force me, but she actually proposed several times to join like a program, and I never felt ready for it. And even for this one, I didn't feel ready for it. But I had the other mission of actually engaging colleagues of mine. So that was more this motivation, more than focusing on the solution. It was more like, it could be a cool activity to show like my colleagues at the restaurant. And actually it turned out beautifully because like they were waste pickers when they were younger, and they actually brought a lot of meaning to the project when they were there. So sorry, the new question.
The problem you're trying to address?
Yes. So the problem, so the one that we pitched, you mean?
No, like just like, why do you do that in the end? Like, why is it important for you, and why do you think? Because I guess one of your mission back then is that because you wanted to compost at home, at some point you wanted to sell them, so you want more people to compost at home. But why do you want people to compost at home?
So that's when I go back to actually for me it's more I direct my life about coherence and not necessarily about impact. So I don't know if I've ever thought I want everyone to compost at home. I think it was not really an agenda I had for myself, but more like a message I constructed because of the whole startup entrepreneurship thing, actually. So the line is very hard to define because you feel like you want to try different things, and you're like constantly asking yourself the same question, and then you refine as you go. But then you also get influenced by what other people tell you, and you have role models. You feel like, you have some friends, they've developed their startups, they are so amazing, I want to be like them. So I cannot say actually that, even if I've said it, I've also said it in newspaper, but that everyone composts at home is not necessarily my big why. But so for the problem, I still like the easy thing that would talk to a lot of people was, okay, we have 60-70% of wet waste in the landfill. Let's eliminate that. And we can do this with a simple solution, is composting at home out of your own kitchen waste. So you can take action now.
So if I understand correctly, composting is just one way for people to be more aware about their waste. Maybe for your message to people is that not necessarily through composting, but it's more like you want people to be more aware of it. And for now, composting is one option you offer to them.
I think it was really a mix of I do this for myself and I do care about my waste. Like even when I was having some dinner parties with some friends with Young Ambassador, we would eat a lot of fruit. And it was always this thing that Monorom is again going to bring her big pot, this one, actually, to actually take all the jackfruit seeds and all the watermelon. Or I was always like the one carrying all the waste from the event home to compost. And before I didn't know, so I was like cutting everything super small pieces, and like my friends were always like, wow, she's so dedicated. But yeah, so for my waste it was very important. And I guess I do not really go around telling people what they should do, and this is not my agenda at all, but me being like so committed to what I do is actually like people reflect on their own actions. Like it's not something that I try to analyze, but that's what people have told me. And then like I try to tell them like, you can do whatever you want. Like I'm not here to judge you, validate you or anything, but they're like, no, I know. It's just like it makes me reflect on my own actions or something like that.
So you focus on what you can do and let other people decide which part they want to maybe see if that's useful or that's relevant to their life, right?
Yes, because so I just feel like I have no saying for someone else's life. Like it's just like not my place at all. Like, so it's as simple as that. And so I can be friends with people who are like super materialistic. It's not necessarily a problem at all. Like it's not. I will not define our potential for friendship based on this.
Right. And I also want to dig deeper into your experiment. Were you a person who likes to do trial and errors and doing multiple experiments before you become an entrepreneur, or that's something that you actually realize you have to experiment again and again after you become an entrepreneur?
I've never defined myself as an entrepreneur, and that's why I laughed before when Dinlong said CEO, because I just feel like, I have some friends who've been there, done that, and I just feel like I'm nowhere near like the kind of profile that they are. I think trial and error was just like, okay, today there is a rat. What can we do about it? Okay, today, it's sticking everywhere. And especially because compost, like, you have the element of smell, you have the element of leachate, so it's not something that you can really avoid. At some point, you just really have to take care of it. So I think a lot of my trial and error was just because I had to, just to stay mindful of my roommates, like out of respect for them. It was more like I had to act because it was like, I don't know, so smelly, or just like, okay, now the compost bin is full, need to do something. So it's not necessarily that I was proactive. It's okay, I want to develop this initiative, and okay, what are people telling me? Feedback, trial, error, So that's why I'm saying that I'm not necessarily an entrepreneur, because I know friends who are like that, and I admire them so much. But I'm more on the lazy side, and I really have to do it now. Okay, let's take this Sunday morning too.
I think maybe everyone who started their own initiative, they have their own style of how they wanted to, pivot or change or adapt and everything. You have your own style, right?
Yeah, that led sometimes to, at some point, a solution that I found, for example, for my waste at some point. Like my parents came to Cambodia, and at that time I was already kind of zero waste in my lifestyle, but my parents brought a lot of waste and I didn't know what to do with that. So I kind of just let it sit for months, and then when I moved house, so when I moved in with Melanie and Kosoma, I had this waste and I didn't know what to do with it. But I was just like, no landfill. I was really extreme at that point. So I just took my bicycle. I went to an island and I did a fire with myself. Maybe creating a fire it's not necessarily better, but just at that time I was like, no landfill. I did some weird stuff. Yeah, so plastic really burns very fast.
But you said you were doing extreme stuff before.
Even I moved the compost from my old house to my new house, but I didn't. I kind of messed up with the compost, and I was afraid that my roommates would find out. So I put the compost in my room, in my bedroom. Yeah.
But now you're not as extreme as before.
No, I'm all about 80-20. Yeah, it was very extreme, but I kind of moved even in France, in the coldest of winters, I would take cold showers, something like that. Very extreme behaviors at some point. And then it was about waste. And yeah, now I'm less extreme. Like I do buy pasta packaged because I tried the unpackaged one at the market and it was horrendous.
Yeah, I tried them too. Because we were together. It wasn't good.
Yes. So yeah, I'm less extreme now.
You mentioned
For
about
sure.
your why a few times. Maybe could you formulate, like, I'm sure you thought about it, but could you formulate it?
My why, I think is be coherent with my values and live in a way that does not exploit others, which actually I know today is impossible. Like I have a smartphone, I'm already exploiting people in some way. But I now also realize that the world is not all up to me. And I also watched some documentaries also showing how the guilt on the end consumer was also strategized by companies. So I'm not just like I'm not trying to blame anyone, and I'm also not trying to put all the blame on me now. Just trying to reach towards coherence, even though I know it's not fully achievable. So yeah, I think like the big why is that I really feel extremely sad when I see despise of any kind. So exploitation for me is a form of despise, and it really brings me tears. And I just try to live in a way that is not despising, looking down on another human being. Just my big why. Compost.
Yeah. How do you link that to Compost City? That is exactly my question.
So there is this, and then I just feel like for me, my way. So that's why I'm saying like not activism, for example, because like I do respect activists, but just like I feel like a lot of activism today is also naming and shaming as well, which maybe we need to identify perpetrators of actions that are going against what we want to stand up for. But for me, because again, I'm very cautious about this kind of, what impact do we really have? So I just feel like I just want to find some actions that I feel like that I feel are bringing me positivity and happiness, because I just feel like today and the environmental speech is very moralistic, like a bit like judgmental, like what we should do, what we should not do, and I just cannot relate. I just feel like it's not sustainable. This is as simple as that. I just feel like it can work maybe for some years, but just like it will not work with the next generation. Like, again, I don't even know if we need to think that far in the future. I just feel like today I wish, like, what I know through composting, like what I know about nature, I just feel like there's so many wow stuff. Like nature is like wow, like there's so many things, like microbes are incredible, like the way that organic matter is recycled is like this process. And I recently got to learn how it really works, like from the really like tiniest of biological details, and even at chemical level is really mind-blowing. And I just feel like if we actually knew that, like it would be just like maybe more interesting. Like for me, interesting is very important word. I feel like we do not do things I mean, we do things because we have to, but I just think it's not sustainable. Whereas if you do something because it's interesting, then there's just like more room for like creativity and laughter and happiness and all these things.
What do you think are like I don't know, 2 or 3 things that we should all know about soil? Like to spark people's interest about soil.
Like how dependent we are on microbes. Like for example, that we have like, you hate dust mites, but we have so many mites on us, and we have like for our digestive system, we rely on bacteria and also fungi. So yeah, like they are so cool, and we are actually much more microbes than we are actually human beings. And I don't know, in a gram of soil, there are like more microbes than you actually have human beings living on Earth. So like these kind of things are super interesting to me, or like how photosynthesis works, and yeah, how we are like how like light energy and the atmosphere is like converted then into matter, like into us. Like it's quite incredible. So that's 2 things, I think. Yeah, I think like the composting process, or we can say more generally the decomposition process, when like, so you have a living plant and then it dies and then you have dead organic matter, how this dead organic matter is being taken care of by so many creatures, and then go back to the roots of the plants. Just this, I feel like it's amazing. Like, I want to share so much about soil. I just feel like today is an entity that we are like little by little we are neglecting a lot today. But I think that it's probably the most precious thing that we have on Earth. Like Earth is planet Earth. It's not for nothing. Like we do depend on soil, and yeah, I think we tend to forget this, and it's creating a lot of consequences to the way that we eat, the way that we produce food, the way that we throw away. So yeah.
Yeah, like it's super interesting. I think this makes me reflect that I either didn't learn this at school, either I did, but I don't remember anything. So it's very interesting. And maybe to come back, you mentioned like, you know, a bit on your like exploration journey, like nothing, then environment, I mean microcredit, environment, compost, and now it's more soil and environment. I guess Compost City is following the same journey, right? So maybe like, yeah, could you share? So now you've done your compost mission, sort of, like the entry point for people, for anyone who want to compost at home. Maybe what are your next steps or things that you want to do to really put this vision of, okay, compost at the first step into reconnecting with the soil? What are some of the things that you want to do?
So yeah, so far, Compost City is this is the way that people see us, because this is the main activity that is known about Compost City, is the sale of a home composting kit. So it's like a ready-made kit with a user guide, and then you have it at home, and then you start composting. So that is the entry point. And yeah, I just feel like I do not want Compost City to just be a compost system provider, because first I do not want to focus my life on product development, and because it's actually taking a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of thinking to do this, and I feel like anyway, if everyone was actually composting but without understanding what's happening in the compost, it would not be my big why. It would not answer my big why. But now that I told you what is my big why, I feel like, is it really this? But actually, for me, it is, because like I feel like I want to talk about things that I think are so valuable and today are like worth less to so many people, and where like we depend on them, and like I just feel like the same as we depend on each other to survive, we exploit other people, but like we also neglect how nature works, and we despise like those microbes and those arthropods and other living creatures. But like if we would just like take a moment to actually know them, having this wow maybe would bring more empathy for the whole system. So in terms of activities, I want to shift from, I mean, like the sales of the kits needs to stay, because I want to now focus more on educational material and creating events and opportunities to reflect and discuss. But then I don't want people to be like, oh, okay, I want composting, but I cannot because there is no solution. So I can say, haha, no, there is a solution. So you cannot tell me there is no solution. So this is very important for me to actually, like a precondition to actually create educational things. Because like one of the things sometimes that I hear about waste, and especially waste in Cambodia, is like, oh, people are not educated. And that's why there is a lot of waste everywhere. And for me, that's so not true. We know from studies that the more a country is developed, the more waste is produced. Like it's a direct correlation. And it's just that like government puts actual budget to take care of waste so that it doesn't create visual pollution. But doesn't mean that everything is recycled perfectly, and doesn't mean that there is less waste. It's just less visible and maybe better treated at the end. So I do not believe that it's an education problem. Like when I hear people are not educated and that's why there's a lot of waste, I really have some problem with this sentence, because for me I feel like this because there is no system that people produce waste. So yeah, it's important to have this system in place for people to buy if they want to, or if they need advice. We can help on that. So yeah, I want to create more events and videos, and maybe collaborate with artists, make exhibitions. To talk about all the wonderful things that nature is doing, like the way actually life works. I don't know if it's only life because we start with dead organic matter actually, but it's really how the cycle of life works. Yeah, I think it's really cool. And in life there are humans as well, so like to shed light also on the people working for waste every day is also a component that I really want to share more. And then also like people gardening, people composting. So yeah, these kind of things.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I find it so interesting how Compost City follows the same journey as you. You might rename it Soil City or something like this. But yeah, no, it's super interesting. And maybe to, come back on Compost City, but me, I really like even just the Compost City journey from starting just for yourself, but you are so passionate that people want to join you, even buy your compost kit and support you to kickstart and everything. I don't know if you compare Monorom 2017, you do your $350 prototype to Monorom today. You have, your compost kit, Maybe to explain a bit, so basically now it comes with 2 boxes which are cockroach proof, rat proof, and like everything proof. There is a bamboo stove where you put the box on your balcony, and the small, I don't know how it's called, but like a tool.
The tongs.
Yeah, to mix and put, and basically every time you have organic waste, you put it there, and you at the same time you put carbon mix, so it's a mix of
Sawdust, rice husk, and biochar.
yeah. So because actually, okay, it's as far as I can explain. But yeah, you need all of these components, some carbon and the organic waste, so then it can decompose, and then you have good soil. But so many things I want to share. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, to come back on this whole process, like what would you say were your key learnings throughout the whole process of developing Compost City, developing all these prototypes? You know, that could be helpful for someone who maybe thinks that I will never be an entrepreneur, or I want to start my own thing. I'm not so sure what to do.
But for me, it's really those action verbs thing. So understanding what you love to do, not just what you love to support, for me is it's a huge difference, because let's say you say, I want to create, I don't know, is it really an action verb? Because like there are so many ways to create. I want to innovate. I want to find a solution. How are you going to do this? What's going to be your tool? So is it going to be by supporting an entrepreneur to do this, and you can do anything? Or is it because you're going to hold a camera and film things and tell stories? Is it going to be you're going to cook, and through your recipes you're going to like transmit some messages, convey messages? So like I think for me, like this, I don't know if it's going to speak to anyone, but for me it's like, what are the actions that you want to do on a daily basis? And actions is a verb. It's like one word, and so it can be several words, of course, but like it should not be like a long sentence that never ends. It should be something simple, and you feel like, this verb actually speaks to me. Like I want to wake up every day to do this. So I don't know, like recently I joined a project where I was very lucky to have a team and like conceptualize a project and host an event. And I realized that I love hosting events. Like I love chasing people, and I'm very good at it. I think, like even when people don't know me, the way that I like write with emojis and stuff, it's just like, I think, and this is something that I've been told before, like way before even environmental consciousness or anything. Like it's like I didn't understand what was my strength, and I asked a friend, I don't know what's my strength, and he said, you make people feel comfortable. And then I was like, I still reflect on this today. I'm like, okay, isn't it something that everyone knows how to do? And then I realized, okay, maybe not. So this is a strength, for example, and that was not the question. Yeah, so one of the lessons would be identify what you love to do, not just what you want to support. Yeah, on a daily basis, because then when you understand what you love to do, you can identify what you don't like to do, but that is necessary for your initiative to take place, and then surround yourselves with those people who should love what they do, so that you can have a bunch of people who love what they all do, and then you create amazing things.
So is that part of the coherence? That when you are looking for coherence, is that one way that you can, like how you find your coherence?
But 100%, yeah. For sure, because like it would just not make sense even for the way that I see the world to just get stuck in something that I don't feel like it's me. Because then how can I support someone else to say, find something that is you, like if I cannot even do this for myself? So definitely related to coherence, 100%.
Yeah, okay. So speaking about coherence, is so for example, if someone who wants to find coherence, what are some of the questions that they can ask themselves? What are some of the mental tools that they can have? If they're, and how can they start to be aware about this incoherence? So from your personal experience,
think like a simple question would be, does this make you feel alive, or does this make you feel dead? And think you can. Sorry. Like if you are stuck like in some area for a very long time, like it's not making you feel alive. And we all have different ways that bring us life. So yeah, it's not something like a one size fits all solution. It's like really you have to, for me, like I feel like dig into yourself to understand yourself, because like, yeah, you can ask your friends and all, but like there is also some introspection that is a work that you have to do with yourself. I mean, this is the way that I see it. So yes, this simple question, mental tool. So yeah, non-violent communication helped me a lot. If we can talk about mental tools, but do we have time?
Yes, it's perfect transition. I was thinking about how do I start this. Thanks for being
okay. So I have to give credit to a friend. Her name is Virginie, who told me about this because I was struggling a lot, and I said, yeah, I have a problem with my ego. And then she said, ego is an illusion. Then she sent me the link up for this 3-hour video talking about nonviolent communication. And so basically, nonviolent communication is a methodology for conflict resolution, and the guy who popularized it was working towards peace for like between different ethnies. And then basically he's saying that we all have this thing in us that is natural giving, but because we live in this world where it's all about duty, guilt, punishment, right and wrong, it prevents us from this natural giving ability that we have. So if we could have a methodology that's actually not enabling those guilt and like sense of right and wrong and these things to enter the conversation, then maybe we could live in a non-violent world. So because I talk about this a lot to friends, because when people hear nonviolent communication, because it's very common words, people might think that they know what it is. But so it can be very easy to identify what is violent, like you're a son of a... so that's very easy. But like, let's say you're always late. Like maybe that doesn't sound so violent, but it's extremely violent because you're defining someone with a certain like action, and like you're defining this person as being always like that. So there is very little room for this person to change, because this person can identify herself or himself as, okay, I'm a late person. And it's a methodology in 4 points and 4 steps, I should say. And the first thing is like, what is the intention behind? Like, if you have a conflict with someone else, like, is your intention really to connect, or is it to like be right and let the person know that they are wrong? If this is the end goal, you're not practicing nonviolent communication. If it's connection, okay, you can start the methodology in 4 simple steps. And if it's a conflict that you have with yourself, you can do the same exercise. And I do practice this. So it's like observation, feelings, needs, and requests. So observation is the first step. Basically, when you have a conflict situation, you have to understand what is the situation that triggered like the conflict. So you need to imagine that there is a camera, and you have to describe the way a camera would actually record it. So you cannot do any kind of diagnostic interpretation about what the other person said. You have to stay factual. So it cannot be like, I don't know. I feel like no time for an example.
No, but like a machine cannot say this person is always late.
Yes.
Because they don't have the history. It's like this person arrived 7 minutes late.
Yeah. Can say you arrived at 10:07, but our meeting started at 10. So this is like factual. So the second step is a feeling. So this situation, what you observed, how did it make you feel? So you state your feeling, and your feeling cannot be dependent on someone else. Cannot be like, I felt, I don't know, I don't know, is it? I don't have an example right now, but I felt mistreated, for example, because it means like someone mistreated you. It's not a feeling. Like a feeling, it should be something that you feel like, okay, I felt extremely sad. Like I felt anxious. I felt disoriented. It's okay, but so yeah, not dependent on someone else. And then this feeling is a reflection of an unmet needs. So we all have core needs. So one of mine is coherence, for example, but there are other ones. And okay, now you understood what is your feeling. What is the need that was left unmet? So okay, maybe this person, I need organization, I need efficiency, I need, so then you can state what is your need, and you need again to not be you cannot be like, I need you to love me, but maybe you need love, maybe you need affection, but you cannot your need cannot be dependent on someone and can be met by many different ways. And the last one is the request. So you can have a request for yourself, or if you are in conflict with yourself, or you can have a request for the person you're in conflict with. It should be like, what is a very small step that is actually measurable. You can actually answer the request that if it was done or not done, and then you do the 4 steps over and over again. So the request can be, next time, can you please arrive at 9:55 max, something like that. So you can, if the person arrive at 10, you can say So that's nonviolent communication, and so that's a mental tool that has helped me a lot, that I still practice today. But so maybe an easy sentence that I keep in mind is a no is a yes to another need. So a no is a yes to another need. It's a credit to a friend, Chiwan, who told me this, and I keep this one in mind so much for, like, it's very easy then to, when someone, I don't know, stood you up, for example, for an appointment, I have zero blame or problem with that, because I understand that this person said no to meeting today because this person had another need somewhere. So it just makes the life experience like much more enjoyable, like less friction with yourself and with others.
It makes you focus on your own needs, but makes you focus on the other's need also. So
Yes.
instead of the action, but it's the intention, the need behind.
Yeah, a very important thing about nonviolent communication is that the premise is the intention, but also that needs of all of both parties. In the case of two parties, is that needs can be met at the same time. It's not a competition between needs.
Cool, thank you so much for the summary of NVC. There is a 3-hour video by Marshall Rosenberg. Check on YouTube. Yeah, I think we are approaching the end. So, we are always asking the last 3 questions to end. So, the first one is, imagine you are Monorom Dorothée, because back then you used your French name. 16-year-old,
So many revelations on
it's
Lifeline.
it's 7 p.m. You are like managing the shop of your mom. What would you tell her? You can go back in time. You can tell her something. What would you tell her?
When I was 16?
Yeah,
What would I tell my 16-year-old?
16-year-old self at the shop. You look scared.
It's so hard because like when I was 16, I was quite confident about myself, and I lost confidence when I was 21. So when I was 16, I had zero problem. My life was super good, and I felt very good with myself. What I would tell, I don't know, maybe it would be, you don't need to write. I still actually do writing things in my life. It's just that I put less like guilt on the amount of time that it takes me, for example, or like asking for help also. Yeah, like I think if you feel dead, if you feel dead, it's not a good sign. And you don't need to stay in this state for a long time. You can. It's not like you should not be in that state. You can. Just like you will have less enjoyable days in your overall life. Because like at the end of it, that's it. Like you're just like the only impact maybe that you can have is like that you can measure is like your own life and the number of days and like how many days did you live fully and you feel like you were 100% you, and how many days did you feel like dead and not feeling good with yourself. So I don't know if it's these and like because I feel like I've done a lot of life lessons that I was like, oh, now I found, but then like the practice was it's not a linear journey. Like if there is like this big also mental tool apart from nonviolent communication is the TED Talk about the power of vulnerability from Brené Brown, and then another one that she did called Listening to Shame, and also the book Dare to Lead. Like, okay, I love Brené Brown. But yeah, like I learned and really analyzed the mental tools, but then it did not prevent me from feeling guilty and having sense of shame. Like can have those aha moments, but it doesn't mean that it's a practice at the end of the day. So it's not something that okay, you learn how to ride a bike and then you learn for life. It's like you need to practice and question and continue to practice.
No, it's nice. A lot of super cool advice and summarizes well your journey also, learning more about yourself.
Maybe also like like there's sometimes a pressure about understanding who you are fully. And I feel like this is not, you cannot understand yourself fully because you evolve every single second of every day. So sometimes there is something about you need to know yourself. It's okay not to know yourself also, but so these things, maybe these smaller questions like what makes you feel good, what makes you feel like, oh, this is me, this brings me joy, this makes me feel alive, are maybe easier to grasp than who am I kind of thing.
Cool. How would you want people to know you for or to remember you for?
I don't know if I care so much about people remembering me, because because that's what I said just before, like, okay, how something that makes you feel alive. So I feel like when I'm dead, like, it's like I don't really care, just like it doesn't really matter to me anymore. I don't know. It's actually not true. Like, I had a friend, Shoman, who used to tell me when I was still a student and studying abroad, and he was a postdoc at the time, and I was always bringing people together, and there were like those researchers who always research, and then I loved them, and then I always wanted them to come eat with us and then go to clubs together. And then at the end, towards the end of the year, he told me, thank you because you made us young again. And I just felt extremely touched by this sentence. And then another person said, like, being young is still having projects or something. Like, it's not like the number of years or something like that. But so I just feel like, I was very touched by this sentence, and I still reflect on this today. So if I can just be this, I don't know, joyful puppy, like around people's lives, is like being awkwardly funny, because I've been told that I'm funny despite myself. It's not like necessarily like do amazing jokes. Sometimes I'm just awkward, and then maybe it makes people feel more at ease because I have no problem with being ridiculous or something like that. So and I enjoy doing, like, when I do something, I just like go for it, and I really enjoy the process. So maybe just this would be
cool. How would you describe yourself in 3 hashtags?
Hashtag non-judgment is 2 words, maybe.
One hashtag?
Yeah, 2 words, but 1 hashtag.
Yes. And then hashtag, I don't know, it's very hard. Hashtag authenticity. It's okay to be who you are, and it's okay not to know who you are. It's a very long hashtag, this one. And then hashtag compost is cool.
Yay! Cool. No, thank you so much. And a real last question, but like, how can people contact you? Why should they contact you? How can people support your mission?
Think is stay tuned, and join the events. Like there will be a movie night Wednesday the 6th for people who went on then, but I don't know if the episode will be released by then. But we will have regular movie nights on documentaries that actually marked me. We will do videos very soon. So I guess it's this year is going to be about creating material, and yes, if you can check it out and give feedback on this, will be this is for me the stuff for this year. But it's not it's not out there yet, so it's kind of a teaser. But it's going to happen for sure, and this is definitely. Be the step to support would be to check either join the event or look and listen to the material that's going to be produced. You can also buy composting kits, so you can also the Facebook page of Compost City and reach out to Compost City on Facebook, or reach me on Telegram. So we put the number, or I just say the number now?
Okay. People in Cambodia, join the events, buy your kit. People online, follow. Stay tuned for the videos.
And then Lifeline.
Send her a message on Compost City Messenger. Yeah. This year. This way.
Yes. And share Lifeline with 2 friends.
Yeah.
That's what helped me the most.
Yes, please. But thank you so much, Monorom. Really love this episode. So much lessons learned, so much learnings. I'm sure everyone will learn so much. I really love this episode.
Same. I think thank you so much, Monorom.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, I think I've been saying this to everyone, both of them as well. The more I get to know about you, the more I like you. And I can say that after 2 hours of conversation, my like towards you is 2 hours more than the 2 hours ago.
Oh my God, it's so sweet.
Yes. So thank you so much for sharing everything, and really enjoy your humble attitude towards life, and I think, to me, you are more than just one human being out of 7 billion of people here. You're a very, very special person. Thank you so much for the sharing.
Thank you.
Me, it's not the end yet, but it's the end, but we keep speaking. Okay, the last thing. Me, I really like the fact that, you always say I'm not an activist. You just do it for yourself. It's very interesting. Usually when we are so committed to something, we want other people to be committed for the same thing. So this is find it very interesting.
It's just I stand up so much for this one. It's not just a saying it doesn't really affect me. It doesn't affect me at all. It's just not in my philosophy. It's not in my thought process.